Good morning, Lieutenant Colonel Iseri, Sergeant Major Mason, distinguished guests, commanders, command sergeants major, family, and friends. Welcome to the 4960th Multifunctional Training Brigade's graduation ceremony for the 12th Hotel 3 Oscar Construction Engineering Supervisor, 42 Alpha 3 Oscar Human Resources Specialist, and the 92 Yankee 3 Oscar Unit Supply Specialist Advanced Leaders Course, Class 001-2016. The host for today's graduation is Lieutenant Colonel Chris Iseri. At this time, we would like to recognize our distinguished guests. Colonel Stephen M. Araki, Chief of Staff, 9th Mission Support Command. Colonel George Dixon, Commander, United States Army Reserve, Pacific Support Unit. Colonel Joseph A. Trinidad, Commander, 322nd Civil Affairs Brigade. Colonel Daniel A. Griffith, Daniel K. Inouye, Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies. Lieutenant Colonel Gregory A. Richards, Commander, 302nd Terminal Transportation Battalion. Lieutenant Colonel James Faleafine, Commander, 1st of the 487th Field Artillery, Hawaii Army National Guard. Command Sergeant Major Gregory Binford, Command Sergeant Major of the 8th Theater Sustainment Command, and his wife, Eileen Binford. We also like to recognize all commanders, command sergeants major, and first sergeants from each student's respective commands. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem and remain standing for the invocation to be given by Sergeant Timothy Gidley.
Please bow your heads and join me in a word of prayer. Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to be a part of this graduation. Lord, I thank you for all the friends, family, and leadership that are here today to support this event. God, I pray that your hand be upon every soldier here that is graduating and that you would guide them to be great leaders and to be successful in their careers. Lord, I pray for safe travels and for everyone flying back to their home stations. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Sergeant Gidley. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The 12 Hotel 3 Oscar Construction Engineering Supervisor, ALC, oversees the construction, repair, and utilities of buildings, warehouses, fixed bridges, port facilities, petroleum pipelines, tanks, and related equipment. Their duties include reading and interpreting construction drawings and blueprints, estimating materials, time management, and equipment and labor requirements. These soldiers also supervise the construction and repair of wood frame, concrete, masonry, or prefabricated structures. They inspect these structures and facilities to ensure compliance and specifications. They also direct operator maintenance on assigned vehicles and equipment, direct combat engineering missions, devise network flow diagrams such as the critical path method, and coordinate work activities and supporting units. They provide supervision over all structural and utility construction projects, and most of all, they inspect subordinate elements to ensure compliance with directives. The 42 Alpha 3 Oscar Human Resources Sergeant, ALC, is an outcomes-based experiential learning residential course that trains selected mid-grade NCOs on operational and tactical human resources programs, processes, systems, and plans. ALC teaches them to retain and enhance development of their human resources technical skills while also preparing them to lead and train soldiers up to the platoon level. ALC produces NCOs who are mid-grade HR leaders that are both doctrinally sound and technically proficient in delivering HR support with a battalion or brigade S1 or Soldier Readiness Center. The Human Resources ALC teaches NCOs to exemplify 21st century soldier competencies while capably serving in a brigade or battalion S1. The 92 Yankee 3 Oscar Unit Supply Specialist ALC provides soldiers with the opportunity to acquire leader technical and tactical values, attributes, skills, and actions needed to lead a squad-sized element. This course is scenario-based and consists of classroom instruction and performance-based practical exercises. Subjects include supply management, command supply discipline program, property adjustment document management, manual property records, unit load management, bulk petroleum management, unit arms room operations, appropriate funds management, property book unit supply enhanced, which is PBOOS, logistical information warehouse, LIW, and distribution management. All training is performance-based and is oriented towards tasks performed in the operational environment. This is the first semester where the 4960th has implemented the new One Army school system, where students from all 3 Army components are represented in each of our leadership courses. If we fight together, then we should train together. Today's graduates represent members of the active Army, the Army Reserve, the Army National Guard, with soldiers representing units from Alaska, Guam, Hawaii, Michigan, Nevada, Rhode Island, Utah, Texas, and Florida. We are honored today to have Command Sergeant Major Gregory Binford, the Command Sergeant Major of the 8th Theater Sustainment Command, United States Army, as our guest speaker. A copy of Command Sergeant Major Binford's biography can be found in your program. At this time, I would like to present Command Sergeant Major Gregory Binford.
Colonel Iseri, Sergeant Major Mason, Colonel Araki, Colonel Dixon, Colonel Trinidad, and Colonel Griffith, commanders, command sergeants major, officers, non-commissioned officers, families and friends, and most importantly to the 57 students of the graduating classes, aloha. Please join me in a round of applause for each of our graduates who have worked so incredibly hard during their courses. I also want to thank all of those who worked so hard to make today's ceremony so exceptional. I'm incredibly honored and humbled to have been selected as your guest speaker, especially for such an integrated, total force Advanced Leader Course graduation ceremony. It was about 21 years ago, back in 1995, that I graduated from a course just like this at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland. And those memories are fresh to this very day. Today is incredibly special, as you heard. Never before has the 4960th had a class that had components, or all three components of the Army, the active, the reserve, and the National Guard, train together, fight together, and graduate together. Our Chief of Staff of the Army, General Mark Milley, and the Sergeant Major of our Army, Sergeant Major of the Army, Dan Daly, they continually stress the importance of total force integration and the strength that our Army has when all three components serve side by side. The students from our graduating classes have certainly come together. As you heard from the script, they've joined us from units across the United States and from throughout the Pacific: Michigan, Rhode Island, Utah, Texas, Florida, Alaska, Nevada, Guam, Maui, Kauai, and the Big Island, all to be put through extremely challenging courses. For the engineers and the human resource specialists, the course is a month of early mornings and long days as they attend 2 phases back to back. The unit supply specialists have a single phase, 2 weeks of similar treatment, but there were no days off for any of these soldiers, and from physical fitness to mental agility, to the academically challenging curriculum, these stellar soldiers accomplished every task with exceptional prowess. Additionally, they grew and bonded as a team, and I cannot emphasize the importance enough of the networking opportunities from these professional development courses. I believe you learn just as much from your cohort of students as anything you gain from the curriculum, and you build bonds that will last throughout your careers. To the friends and families in attendance, you have every reason to be incredibly proud. The work these students have put in to stand before you today is nothing less than a testament to the human willpower and the ferocity of a soldier's spirit. They are an inspiration. And the cadre here is also a testament to the total Army concept. Each one is an Army reservist who not only has adhered to the same standards of teaching as the active Army and the National Guard, but each is fully certified to teach all 3 courses, and soon to add healthcare specialist as a 4th course taught by this very unique and very capable training brigade. If the students seem diverse, the cadre are even more so. These police officers, business professionals, technicians, homemakers, mechanics, and leaders who proudly serve in uniform and balanced civilian careers, they've each put in countless hours of their own time to ensure the students receive the finest leadership available in any Army course. Our NCO Corps is the envy of armies throughout the world because of leaders, trainers, and professionals like those within this brigade. And these soldiers have been honed into the warfighting shape that keeps our nation free and reassures the allies of the United States of America of our commitment to the vast Pacific region. Thus, we forge a new generation of leaders. I returned from Korea yesterday, where I had a chance to meet with the Sergeant Major of the Army. I saw him there in Okinawa a few days previously, and he shared with us a top 10 list of what it takes to be a successful Sergeant Major. However, the lessons apply to all NCOs and to all leaders, and I'd like to share that top 10 list with you just now, if you would. Number 1, yelling doesn't make you skinny. PT does. We must remain physically fit. 2, think about what you're going to say before you say it. Words have meaning. 3, if you find yourself having to remind everybody that you're their sergeant major or their leader and that you're in charge, you probably aren't. 4, you have to work hard at being more informed and less emotional. 5, if you can't have fun every day, you need to go home. Soldiers of America's Army deserve optimistic leaders who enjoy the profession of arms. 6, don't be a feared leader. It doesn't work. Be a respected leader. That's what our soldiers deserve. 7, don't do anything, and I mean anything, negative over email. You'll be a social media superstar before you can imagine. 8, it's okay to be nervous. We all are. Sergeant Major of the Army Daly linked that to a story that his mom once told him on the first day of school. If you're not nervous, maybe it demonstrates that you just don't care, and a sense of apathy is not what you need to reflect. 9, if your only justification for being an expert in everything is your 28 years of military experience, it might be time to end your experience. And 10, never forget that you're just a soldier. We all are. We share a common bond. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like for you to join me once again in a round of applause to congratulate these incredibly proud troops and to thank those incredible professional trainers who came together to make them just a little more hoo-ah. God bless our deployed soldiers, and God bless our great nation. Sustain the force, one team, hoo-ah.
Thank you, Command Sergeant Major Binford. At this time, Sergeant Miguel Bull will share various aspects of the 12 Hotel course from the student's perspective.
Good morning, Lieutenant Colonel Zeri, Sergeant Major Mason, distinguished guests, staff, family, and friends. I'm Sergeant Bo, an active duty soldier from 643rd Engineer Company here on Oahu. I want to point that out because that hasn't been a common thing here at ALC, having active duty. Here, the fantastic faculty has been training Yankees, Alphas, and engineers from the Reserves and National Guard. I'm proud to be part of this milestone where we all train together, one team, one fight. Not only is this a milestone for you in the Reserves, National Guard, and active duty, but each and every one of us individually. ALC, Advanced Leaders Course, regardless of where you attend, this is taking the next step. That next step that is a defining moment where you are headed as a leader. We all came here to learn what it is to fill those shoes with our feet, those shoes that the leaders before us stepped up and out to higher responsibilities. So we follow in their footsteps so we can fulfill our responsibilities inherent in our role. For some, it was easier than for others. We solidified teachings from the past and learned skills for the future. What made it such a great adventure from beginning to end was that it was not easy. It was not smooth sailing the whole way. From 9 very challenging written exams that seriously put our attention to detail to the test on each and every one of those, to hands-on construction of a complete 10-foot 8-inch by 10-foot 8-inch building. This is where what we learned on those exams was converted to trial by fire. Correctly assembling floor joists, walls, windows, doors, trusses, and roof shingles, and adding all the trimmings. Then I have to mention the training booths. We installed home utilities from the electrical panel box, breakers, single, double, and four-way switches, receptacles, and conduit. As far as plumbing, we installed water supply lines doing some precision soldering that would supply fixtures such as lavatories, urinals, and water closets. As leaders, we all led, helping one another reach our potential. For example, Sergeant Bostrom, as a fellow engineer, highly experienced in his field, he was an unlimited source of electrical knowledge beyond even the scope of his class. I learned so much. My final comment to everyone, by coming here, you all had one job. And by being present here this day, you surely have accomplished that job. Congratulations. Essayons.
Thank you, Sergeant Bull. At this time, Staff Sergeant Sharon Fleur Belmonte will share various aspects of the 42 Alpha course from the student's perspective.
Good morning, distinguished guests, soldiers, family members, and friends. I have the honor of speaking for our 42 Alpha Human Resources Advanced Leaders course. Although I am one person speaking, I have the voice of the 26 soldiers beside me. Our very first day, we broke out into groups and were given an activity to draw a picture and list what we wanted to take with us to graduation. Many listed knowledge, training experience, communication skills, and networking, but one stood out. It wasn't a word, but a number, 27. We started with 27 students, and we are here today, finishing strong, graduating with 27 students. It was our united goal and aspiration, and we did it. The 42 Alpha Advanced Leaders course is a 4-week course that challenged us with a new learning method of critical and creative thinking. We embraced the model, which engaged us to think and understand the relevance and context of all the material. The first 3 weeks of classroom instruction emphasized advanced skills in the human resources system and brigade combat team S1 actions. The 4th week evaluated the knowledge we learned through a culminating training exercise. To quote Martin Luther King Jr., our very survival depends on our ability to stay awake, to adjust to new ideas, to remain vigilant, and to face the challenge of change. As a soldier, we are always adapting to change. Throughout the course, we were all challenged in different ways. Some had difficulty balancing their home and military life, while others had constant anxiety before a test. As a class, we persevered through the tough times and pushed through all the challenges. We sit here today, sleep-deprived and mentally exhausted, but we survived. Many that have taken this course in the past could say it was easy. You just have to show up on time, pass the tests, get that DA 1059, and be done. That is not what ALC is all about, and that is absolutely not what our class is about. The 27 of us have built our relationships that formed a bond where we used each other's strengths to overcome our individual weaknesses. We motivated each other and lightened the mood when we were stressed. The camaraderie we developed brought a different atmosphere and an energy into the classroom. At the end of every course, the instructors would always say, "You are my best class." When they said that to us, that we have been their best class, we knew without a doubt that we were their best class. We are graduating today and will walk out of here armed with knowledge, motivation, skills, relationships, and experiences that we can reflect on and be proud of. Let me introduce you to 27 of the best soldiers that have made ALC memorable. Take a good look at the 42 Alpha soldiers seated in front of you. Remember their faces and names. They are NCO leaders. You will see them again, and you will see the impact that they made on the soldiers and the Army. Our class would like to thank the 4960th Best Multifunctional Training Brigade in the Army, the commander, the commandant, our course manager, Master Sergeant Hirakawa, and our small group leaders, Sergeant First Class Balbus and Sergeant First Class Bedoya. Thank you to everyone for your support and celebrating our accomplishment today. To my classmates, we started our first day with a few readings from a book by Dr. Seuss, so I will end with a quote from the beginning of his book. "Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places, you're off and away. You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose." Congratulations, 42 Alphas. Who are we?
Thank you, Staff Sergeant Belmonte. Now, Staff Sergeant Sarah Penaflor will share various aspects of the 92 Yankee course from the student's perspective.
Good morning, distinguished guests, families, and friends. This graduation is not only an individual achievement, it's also a team accomplishment. The 19 Yankees of ALC Class 001-2016 come from all places of the world. We are from Florida, Rhode Island, Texas, Utah, Nevada, Guam, and of course, the beautiful island of Hawaii. Since day one of in-processing, you could hear a pin drop with all the serious faces in the room from nervousness of the unexpected. It quickly changed on day 2 during our record APFT, when the class came together to motivate our other classmates as soon as they completed their aerobic event, something that you don't see too often. We became lava. The past couple of days, we were broken into teams consisting of bombastics, warriors, PIC, and one team. Daily team competitions from the NCO Creed and the Army Song to drill and ceremony exhibitions. There was never a dull moment. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sergeant First Class O'Brien and Staff Sergeant Nelson. But it didn't stop there. We had nonstop laughter with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, musical squares, sudden death heads up, and the freakiest text message that came with flowers and chocolates. And it didn't die there. Most especially our favorite, the hitchhiker with a bag on our way to Ala Moana Mall. Yes, Master Sergeant Miller, I know you're not here, but we promise it was just a joke, now knowing that you are the safety NCO. Please don't be mad anymore, Sergeant First Class O'Brien. Amongst the early morning physical readiness trainings, we were individually evaluated on our military briefings, such as supply management, ammunition, General Fund Enterprise Business Systems, also known as GFEBs, Property Book Unit Supply Enhanced, PBUS, Automatic Identification Technology, AIT, Logistics Support Activity, LOGSA, and Global Combat Support System, Army, GCSS Army. To help us get a better understanding of the lessons, we had the honor of meeting the undercover detective Sherlock Holmes, who's always observing the class, and a family man, Master Sergeant Carvalho. Our most intimidating instructor, whose first name is coincidentally Sergeant First Class Girly O'Brien, who drives that Mercedes-Benz with style, and the quartermaster and 4960th MFTB Brigade Instructor of the Year, who never liked to smile, Staff Sergeant Nelson. The nicest HPD officer you'll ever meet, Master Sergeant Miller. And the one instructor Master Sergeant Miller is always looking for, has anyone seen Sergeant First Class Ninja Higa, who has the most MOSs under his belt? He can pay you, he can feed you, he can supply you, and our favorite, he can bury you. Thank you for the motivation, the healthy snacks, the beautiful class hike up Makapu'u Point Lighthouse Trail that opens at 0700 Sergeant First Class O'Brien, and keeping the morale high. And finally, to the 19 Yankee 3 Oscar ALC class of hunters, fishers, die-hard football players and basketball players, the future warrant officer leader, the paddler, the shopaholics, the fathers who love their sons and daughters, and the mothers who work tirelessly. Although we come from different units such as aviation and artillery, different statuses of National Guard, Reserve, or active duty, we all have one thing in common. We are the 92 Yankees, the unsung heroes behind the scene who spend the countless hours of being the first ones in and the last ones out in order to complete the mission and never seeking recognition. All 92 Yankees know what I'm talking about. I'll leave you with a soon-to-be famous quote by Staff Sergeant, soon-to-be promoted, Kai Tao Lee, "Bullets can't fly without supply." 92 Yankee 3 Oscar ALC Class 001-2016, Lava. Staff Sergeant Fa'oa, please lead the class in one last motivation.
Thank you, Staff Sergeant Penaflor. The following soldiers have successfully completed the program of instruction for the 12 Hotel 3 Oscar Construction Engineering Supervisor, the 42 Alpha 3 Oscar Human Resources Specialist, and the 92 Yankee 3 Oscar Unit Supply Specialist Advanced Leaders courses. as set forth by Headquarters, Training, and Doctrine Command. At this time, Command Sergeant Major Binford, course managers, senior instructors, and small group leaders will present the diplomas to their respective course graduates. Please hold your applause until all of the diplomas are presented.
On your feet. Right face.
The course manager and lead instructor for the 12 Hotel 3 Oscar ALC are Master Sergeant Larnang and Sergeant First Class Biley. The following soldiers are graduates of the 12 Hotel 3 Oscar Advanced Leaders Course. Staff Sergeant Chrysalin B. Duquette. 230th Engineer Company Vertical, Hawaii Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Shanna L. Erath, 1430th Engineer Company Vertical, Michigan Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Princeps R. Fong, 871st Engineer Company Detachment 2, United States Army Reserve. Staff Sergeant Kiara J. Kangas, 1430th Engineer Company Vertical, Mission Army National Guard, Michigan. Sergeant Kaniala M. Abaya, 871st Engineer Company Vertical, United States Army Reserve. Sergeant Kemuel J. Bankhead, 643rd Engineer Company Vertical, United States Army. Sergeant Shane P. Bostrom, 1436th Engineer Company Vertical, Michigan Army National Guard. Sergeant Miguel A. Bowe, 643rd Engineer Company Vertical, United States Army. Sergeant Henry C. Caldera, 643rd Engineer Company Vertical, United States Army. Sergeant Mark Anthony C. Crisostomo, 797th Engineer Company Vertical, United States Army Reserve. Sergeant Lam X. Doan, 871st Engineer Company Vertical, United States Army Reserve. Sergeant Timothy J. Gidley, 643rd Engineer Company Vertical, United States Army. Sergeant Willie G. Johnson, Jr., 643rd Engineer Company Vertical, United States Army. Sergeant Kenny A. Valdez, 871st Engineer Company Vertical, United States Army Reserve.
You had
One job.
on your feet. Right, hey.
The course manager and senior small group leaders for the 42 Alpha 3 Oscar ALC are Master Sergeant Hirokawa, Sergeant First Class Balbus, and Sergeant First Class Bedoya. The following soldiers are graduates of the 42 Alpha 3 Oscar Advanced Leaders Course. Staff Sergeant Sharon Fleur Belmonte, United States Army Reserve Pacific Support Unit. Staff Sergeant Jeffron L. Kalbang, Joint Forces Headquarters Element, Guam Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Cynthia M. Campbell, 4960th Multifunctional Training Brigade, United States Army Reserve. Staff Sergeant Nicole P. Can Pereira, Joint Forces Headquarters, Hawaii Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Dora Lee S. Castillo, 38th Troop Command, Alaska Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Richard Ezekiah, 1st of the 299th Cavalry Regiment, Hawaii Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Ronaldo A. Fajardo, 311th Signal Command Theater, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Francis N. L. Gagrin, Joint Forces Headquarters, Hawaii Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Jasmine N. Gray, 94th Military Police Battalion, United States Army. Staff Sergeant Elaine Y. Hafner, 303rd Maneuver Enhancement Brigade, United States Army Reserve. Staff Sergeant J.H. Kim, HHC, 9th Mission Support Command, United States Army Reserve. Staff Sergeant Ronald G. Lansang, HHC, 1st Battalion, 294th Infantry Regiment, Guam Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Brandon Messick, 49th 60th Multifunctional Training Brigade, United States Army Reserve. Staff Sergeant Matthew C. Kedegwa, 94th Civil Support Team, WMD, Guam Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Robert A. Tirado, 322nd Civil Affairs Brigade, United States Army Reserve.
322, out!
Staff Sergeant Joanne A. Velasco, 322nd Civil Affairs Brigade, United States Army Reserve. Sergeant LaJamia C. Aubrey, United States Army Pacific Command, Joint Intelligence Operations Center, United States Army. Sergeant Christopher G. Bailey, 84th Engineer Battalion, United States Army. Sergeant Mary Beth Fox, Detachment 2, 1984th United States Army Hospital, United States Army Reserve.
That too can do.
Sergeant Donovan U. Johnson, 303rd Maneuver Enhancement Brigade, United States Army Reserve. Sergeant William J. Johnson, 303rd Maneuver Enhancement Brigade, United States Army Reserve. Sergeant Neil A. Kaiser, HHD, 3rd Mobilization Support Group, United States Army Reserve. Sergeant Yvonne Lopez, Daniel K. Inouye, Asia Pacific Center for Security Studies. Sergeant Latoya M. Moon, 205th Military Intelligence Battalion, United States Army. Sergeant Chastity S. Odell, 9th Theater Support Group Detachment, Marianas, United States Army Reserve. Sergeant Angel I. Ortiz, 9th Theater Support Group Detachment, Alaska, United States Army Reserve. Sergeant Baylor T. Sasson, 302nd Transportation Terminal Battalion, United States Army Reserve.
Take seat. On your feet. Right feet.
The course manager for the 92 Yankee 3 Oscar ALC is Master Sergeant Miller. Master Sergeant Carvalho is acting as course manager in her place. The senior instructor is Sergeant First Class O'Brien. The following soldiers are graduates of the 92 Yankee 3 Oscar Advanced Leaders Course: Staff Sergeant David W. Ellis, India Troop, 1st Squadron, 221st Cavalry Regiment, Nevada Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Pilimoy Langi P. Faoa, Charlie Battery, 1st of the 487th Field Artillery, Hawaii Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Christine T. Invencion, Theater Support Group, Detachment Marianas, United States Army Reserve. Staff Sergeant Tyler C. Jensen, 97th Aviation Troop Command, Utah Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Melia T. W. Manibusan, Bravo Company, 1st of the 294th Infantry Regiment, Guam Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Alan M. Marshall, Lima Troop, 1st Squadron, 221st Cavalry Regiment, Nevada Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Christine M. McNulty, Training Center, Detachment 2, Texas Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Valerie B. Mitchum Spencer, Echo Company, 949th Brigade Support Battalion, Texas Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Sarah C. Penaflor, 1224th Engineer Support Company, Joint Forces Headquarters, Guam Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Daniel N. Ramos, HHC, 227th Brigade Engineer Battalion, Hawaii Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant Jason L. Tom, Alpha Battery, 1st of the 487th Field Artillery, Hawaii Army National Guard. Staff Sergeant George L. Tumbaga, HHC, 29th Infantry Brigade Combat Team, Hawaii Army National Guard. Sergeant Eric R. Burmeister, 243rd Regional Training Institute, Rhode Island National Guard. Sergeant Kaitao N. Lee, Forward Support Company, 1st of the 143rd Airborne Infantry, Texas Army National Guard. Sergeant Alex Longlot, 302nd Quartermaster Company, United States Army Reserve. Sergeant Christopher S. Small, 715th Military Intelligence Battalion, 500th Military Intelligence Brigade, United States Army. Ladies and gentlemen, as we already did, it gives me great pleasure to present the graduates of the Advanced Leaders Courses, Class 001, 2016. The following soldiers are being recognized by the commander for excelling in their studies and coursework and for exemplifying the Army values. Each proponent has different criteria for the Distinguished Honor Graduate, and Commandant's List. For the 12 Hotel 3 Oscar ALC, the Distinguished Honor Graduates are: for Phase 1, Sergeant Timothy Gidley. For Phase 2, Sergeant Kemuel Bankhead. Continuation on 12th Hotel 3 Oscar ALC, the Distinguished Honor Graduate for Phase 1 and Phase 2, Staff Sergeant Kiara Kengis. For the 42 Alpha 3 Oscar ALC, the Distinguished Honor Graduate is Sergeant Christopher Bailey. For the 42 Alpha 3 Oscar ALC, the following soldiers have been selected for the Commandant's list. For Phase 1 and 2, Staff Sergeant Francis Ann Gagarin. And for Phase 2, Sergeant Latoya Moon. For the 92 Yankee 3 Oscar ALC, the Distinguished Honor Graduate is Staff Sergeant Sarah Penaflor. For the 92 Yankee 3 Oscar ALC, the honor graduates are Staff Sergeant Valerie Mitchum Spencer, and Staff Sergeant Daniel Ramos. The creed of the non-commissioned officer will now be recited by the entire class.
On feet. The creed of the non-commissioned officer. The creed of the non-commissioned officer. No one is more professional than I. I am a non-commissioned officer, a leader of soldiers. As a non-commissioned officer, I realize that I'm a member of the Time Army Corps, which is known as the backbone of the Army. I am proud of the Corps of non-commissioned officers, and at all times conduct myself so as to bring credit upon the Corps, the military,
and gentlemen, please rise for the singing of the Army song. The Army song. The 4960th Multifunctional Training Brigade wishes to extend a special mahalo nui loa to the families, friends, and loved ones of these soldiers for the support you had given them during the course of instruction, and especially by your attendance here today. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the graduation ceremony. Please join the graduates in the pavilion located in the rear of the building. Refreshments will be available in the foyer. Mahalo.